And we are live and we're back. How's it going, Dave?
All good, mate. Excited for this one.
Yeah, so Return of the Jedi, third film of the original Star Wars trilogy. As I said previously, my personal favorite of the bunch. I know you said Empire, but I think as we said that they're all pretty good. But this one is my favorite. Um, Yeah, so this is I've been looking forward to this a lot since we started back up, to be honest. Um, and just can't wait to start talking about it. So, Return of the Jedi, obviously, as I said, the third film of the original Star Wars trilogy. It was out in 1983. Um, obviously, this one wasn't directed by George Lucas, but obviously, story was by him, and everyone returned as you would expect. Plus, um, a gentleman, Ian McDiarmid, who played who plays the Emperor in this film, who I feel like will have a very large part in this review. Um,
The legend, the Emperor.
yes, Palpatine himself. So this film. Anything you want to say up front, Dave? Any fun
So
fun
I've
bits
well,
or anything?
I've currently got this film on on my screen at the moment. I've been looking at clips all week. I've been thinking about this film, so I've got a few notes, but we'll try and keep it, as short as possible. Um, I did promise in the last video, if you want to check out our Empire Strikes Back review, I promised that I would tell you a problem I had with this film,
Mm.
which is pretty common. But mine is that I wish that the Ewoks were actually Wookiees.
Oh,
I
okay.
just don't. I just don't buy that these teddy bears would beat the Emperor's best troops. And I
That's
think that the battle being a Wookiees, could have been a really epic battle. Um,
okay. I get
I,
that.
yeah,
I've always had a soft spot for the Ewoks. I understand. I get that they are much maligned. People, you know, eh, see it for the obvious sort of we need to make some toys kind of thing that they seem to be. I think they're quite funny. All the little like yep that and all the the way they talk and when
mm.
they're the funny misunderstanding that C3PO is their god, like which is I find hilarious, and just like they're quite cheeky and they're are quite fun, but I understand why people would uh would find them annoying or a bit out of place. Like like you said, when they're like fighting, like beating up a stormtrooper, it's like really this thing's like 2 foot tall. What are you
They're not.
talking?
They're throwing
Throwing
little
rocks and
stone
killing people, like killing people with like stones. Like it is
and
a bit.
trees rolling down the hill. It's just it just
Yeah,
takes you
I
out
get,
of this
I get it.
Star Wars battle. You
I
know,
absolutely get it. Yeah,
it doesn't feel like a real war. So that would be my sort of complaint.
especially in contrast to what's going on in space.
Mm.
And we see, and it's unbelievable. But we'll get to that. But yeah, no, I completely understand that. The issues people have with that, but I personally I enjoy the Ewoks. Um, so we'll start from the beginning as we always do. Um, and the film basically picks up with we're trying to find Han Solo. That's what we're trying to do at the beginning of this film. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to find, still searching for Han. I think we see C3PO and R2D2 roll up. Is that the first thing we see? Roll up to the palace,
I believe so. I believe that's the first thing. Yeah.
and so they're let in, and they go and see Jabba. We see what's the guy with the big head? Bib Fortuna, I believe, is his name. How's
Yep.
that? How's that for a little bit of
There you go.
a memory nerd? Because I think one of my friends he was an encyclopedia of Star Wars knowledge, and he would always inform me of these sort of side characters that didn't necessarily get named. So he would always tell me. Um, but anyway, they come in and they play a message from Luke, um, isn't it? And he's like, you can have these droids as like recompense,
It
owed to
basically
Jabba.
sells out C3PO and
Yeah,
R2D2,
yeah.
and they're like, and C3PO's like, what,
They have no
and
idea. Yeah,
but it's obviously a plan to get them in the palace.
yeah.
And
This whole opening bit where obviously we have Leia come in. And one thing to say, they never. The one thing in the films they never make fully clear is how long it's been between, say, the Empire Strikes Back and this. From what I've read, it's like 12 months or something. So it's
well, it's got to been, it's got
a
it's the
decent
only
amount of
thing that
time, isn't
you've
it?
got to think is it's a decent amount of time. There's also the setup for the Battle of Endor, so they've stolen a ship for
Mm.
that. Luke has constructed a new lightsaber, and his confidence
In his
from
Jedi
what he
abilities
what
is yeah skyrocketed.
he's obviously his hand has healed, or he's using it
Mm,
as if he hadn't had it cut off. So and
mm,
I would assume you could even say 2 or 3 years if you
mm.
really wanted.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah,
but he
sometimes
goes,
some we
yeah,
know we get that some time has passed, and they've obviously been planning this for a while. Then after the droids come in, obviously we see Leia. She releases him. She threatens with a thermal detonator or whatever it is.
mm,
Pretends to be an alien in there, but then obviously reveals it's her. No, releases Han from the carbonite. He's all messed up. He's sort of like, who's that? He can't see, and then reveals herself to be Leia. And then we hear, I think it's a really great moment where you sort of hear the laugh, like ooh ooh ooh, and then everyone's
mm.
like, haha, look, we knew it was you,
I,
idiots.
I always, I always quite, I find it quite heartwarming that you have hibernation sickness,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
it's
yeah.
revealed to be her, and that they're reunited and get that kiss or whatever, and
Mm,
it's like quite a heartwarming moment.
yeah.
Um, and
But it,
then yeah, you got Jabba, and you get to see him what I consider the first time, because before the special editions came out, you didn't. I never saw him in the first two films. This was my
mm,
first experience of Jabba.
yeah, that's true. Because obviously, yeah, they throw him in that first one, which is just silly.
Mm,
It just looks ridiculous. This is just, yeah, this is Jabba the Hutt. The puppet, the disgusting slime in his mouth, whatever it is. Like, he's just disgusting, all
yeah,
round disgusting. And
they did a good. They did a good job of him being like this big gangster thing.
when I was
That's how.
when I watched it as a kid, I just thought he was like some sort of king. Like I never thought he was like a crime boss. I always
Mm,
thought he was more like, oh, it's like a he's some sort of royalty, and Han has, you know even though he obviously is, because obviously he owed him money and stuff like that, he was. But I remember not thinking that was the case when I was a kid. When I
yeah,
remember like, oh yeah, I guess that makes sense. But I always assumed he was some sort, because he was in a Jabba's palace, and all that kind of stuff. So um, I think Luke comes in as well. So after that, they get captured. We know, and then Luke comes in. He strangles like the pig man at the door, and we're like, oh,
mm,
okay. And then he uses a little bit, like you said, his confidence in his abilities has gone way up. He strangles the guy. He gives him the old "take me to Java" to the bit before tuna. He's like, like he does the alien voice, like in the same sort of the same tone as Luke Skywalker, which is really funny. And then Java's like, "You're an idiot. Why did you let him just like?" Because Java doesn't is not affected by his Jedi powers.
the Force, yeah,
Just like he's just like, you're not going to be able to do this, whatever it is, and and he just does him in. One thing to note, I just thought of actually was the musical performance in Jabba's palace, where in the special edition, I mean, it's just ridiculous. You've got those lips like coming out of the screen, and you've got Like the
Oh,
guy.
I don't even want to waste time thinking about
I just I just wanted to mention it because in the
it.
special edition it's so silly. Like it's so dumb. But hey, whatever. They put it in. I just thought I'd mention it because it is so silly. Um,
Thanks for that. Thanks for that
no
image.
no problem. Um, uh, so you see Luke gets captured, gets tricked into the Rancor pit. I think Leia tries to tell him like it's a trap or whatever. Um, falls it, and the Rancor is truly horrifying. As a kid, this was one of the most terrifying things I'd ever seen in my
I think
entire
the thing
life.
like that, the mouth as well.
Oh,
It's
it's
like that thing is
awful.
gonna, and he's like got nowhere to hide.
I hated how big it was. I hated also how slimy it was. Like it was awful,
The fact
truly
that it was a bit,
awful.
the fact that it was a little bit slow made it a bit scarier as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. It was I remember I did not like that. And even as an adult, it just sort of like makes me uncomfortable seeing that thing because it's so disgusting. Um,
Mm,
Luke beats it. Then basically Jabba's like, all right, well, we're gonna put all these guys in the Sarlacc pit. Let's take them there
mm.
because he kills the Rancor. Because he's a badass Jedi now. And
I think as soon as he comes out though, he gets captured straight away, and then it's
yeah,
like next scene,
Sarlacc.
and
They're on the way to the
what?
Sarlacc pit.
Let's just moment to recognise Princess Leia and the gold
Well, I
bikini.
was gonna get there because
I,
as
well,
a
I
as a
clearly couldn't.
young
I
man,
clearly couldn't wait
as
to mention that.
a young man, and even as a man now, still unbelievable. Um, it really is a striking image, one that I'm sure plenty or the majority of young men, boys, and older men saw this and was like, "Whoa." Yeah, she's very beautiful in this, very, very beautiful in this. Um, and yeah,
I
just
can't help but think of Ross and Rachel in the Friends episodes, and
of course,
but yeah, no, she looked pretty good.
yeah, absolutely. Um, so yeah, Jabba's like, yeah, we're gonna get him, send him to the Sarlacc pit. Luke is like telling Han like, don't worry, I've got this. And Han's like, what are you talking about, Luke? You're crazy. Like he just thinks Luke is crazy. It's like, Luke,
Mm.
what are you chatting about? You're just some idiot. Like, stop. And he's like, no, don't worry. And obviously we see Boba Fett is there as well. And then just as they're about to, I think he even gives Jabba like an ultimatum. He's like, look, you can still survive if you let us go.
Mm.
No one has to get hurt. And Jabba, everyone's laughing like, idiot, you've got your hands tied. You're standing on a plank above the Sarlacc pit, which again always freaked me out as a kid. Like, you're going to be digested for 1,000 years or something. It's like, oh man, that is awful. Um, but chaos ensues. Luke flips back up, gets his lightsaber, starts messing some people up. Um,
Let's just cut stop there and say he lights that lightsaber, and this time it's green.
yes,
And I
awesome.
think I speak for probably yourself as well, but something was like, wow, they're
Yeah.
not just blue and red. There's
Mm,
like it symbolized like growth and like leveling up almost, didn't it?
yeah.
And
Definitely back then.
yeah.
Obviously, as we've gone further into the law, it's just like, oh, it's just green in it. Like it doesn't really. But I remember
Well,
read. I remember.
I'll always think that it's an upgrade or it's like a
Yeah,
master rather than a,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah. It
That's
was
how.
great to see, and I think does he's not the one that no, because it's Han that hits um what's his name, Boba
Boba.
Fett in the back, which is it does you actually think about the actual character. Everyone loved this or was was enamored with this character, thought it was really cool, and he gets taken out like that with a blind Han Solo shooting him or whatever, and he flies into the side of the ship and falls into the Sarlacc pit to die, never to return. Right? That's how it ends for him.
Until, well, until last year.
Well, I didn't
But
see it,
but
so he's still in that Sarlacc pit
for the majority of Star Wars fans, they will never know that, or that this Boba Fett died.
in
And
the
I think
Sarlacc.
there was a phrase to be Boba Fetted, wasn't it? To just or something like that
What was it?
to die. really silly.
Oh, yeah, it was a bit of a silly one. But as I said,
The
chaos
the
ensued.
Sarlacc the Sarlacc is pretty scary because you'd be indigested
That's what I was
for
saying. It's
a thousand
horrifying.
years.
Yeah, it's, again, just this sort of horrifying thing. Um,
Mm,
so it started off with these two monsters that are just awful, but yeah, they basically destroy Jabba's like sand skiff or whatever, blow it up. Um, they swing across, and then they escape from um,
yeah.
from
We
Jabba,
have
so saving Han
you,
Solo.
you have Leia strangling, which I always
Yes,
thought was disgusting. The way
Leia kills
that
Jabba because his
that cut,
tongue's all like, "Bleh," like yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
she's the hero there as
Yeah,
well.
she gets him back for putting her in that bikini. He's like, well, you do that, well, you get this chain around your neck, mate. So she
Yeah,
so she pays him back, kills Jabba, yeah, in that whole sequence as well. So yeah, they save Han. I believe then they split up because I think Luke's heading back to Dagobah.
well,
Um,
there's an amazing explosion of the ship, and then it sort of cuts
is
straight to
that in the
like
original as well? Or was that just in the special edition? I'd
I
love to know.
think it was original, but I can't be sure.
Yeah, you never know
Um,
now. I just have
but
no idea.
it then cuts to Luke's in his X-wing, and they're back in the Falcon, um, sort of almost like in the other in Empire, like splitting off again.
Mm.
Um, and Luke needs to go back to Dagobah to be with Yoda, and I believe what the other guys doing. I think they're going off
They're just
to
going to
New
join the
York.
fleet, aren't they?
I think they're going to join the fleet in Lando.
No,
Um,
Lando was on with at Jabba's palace as well, wasn't he? I think we forgot to mention. He was there as well. Remember in that little like outfit,
hmm,
he's like hiding under his mask or something. Because he
yeah,
nearly falls into the Sarlacc pit.
that's right.
So yeah, forgot to mention that.
There is a moment that we've completely forgotten
Oh
because
yeah.
I've got the beauty of because I'm watching it, I can skip back and forward. But so the first sort of 37 minutes is all of that Jabba stuff, but the actual opening scene is Darth Vader landing on the Death Star, the second Death Star,
Uh,
and the commander meets him and says, I need more men, and the Vader basically says that the Emperor will be arriving to fight to see preparations, and the guy sort of swallows his saliva like he's coming here, and and he says yes, Commander, and he's most displeased with your lack of you know achieving what you need to achieve basically,
mm,
and so that's the opening with Vader, and then after Han and Luke come out of the stuff with Jabba, you then see the Emperor's arrival.
mm.
So it's the Emperor's arrival, and basically the whole fleet. You've got every sort of Tie fighter, every you got like a huge hangar full of stormtroopers just to meet this guy.
So there's a really again. I think I mentioned them maybe on our original one about the uh, special effects in this
Mm.
in all the Star Wars, and they mentioned the scene, and basically maybe the front couple of rows of people are real. After that, is they're paintings. It's a painting.
Oh wow!
So I think they put the painting on the camera, lined it all up to make it look good, and then yeah, they filmed the scene through this thing to make it look really good. The really big wide shot. So yeah, there's I think it's a painting. The really big shot where you see, the hundreds, if not thousands of, well, it's probably hundreds of stormtroopers waiting in the hangar. I believe that was how they did it. But they're really great.
I'm watching it now, and that doesn't. I would say that you're lying if I didn't know that you planned that out.
It's
It
amazing.
looks
It's
so
incredible. It is incredible.
it looks so good.
Yeah, it's incredible. They go through it. I think I think the channel's called Corridor Crew, and they do breakdowns of special effects and how certain things were done. And that's how there's a lot of matte paintings in Star Wars in the original ones. Where even there's one where there's a wide shot of I think it's in this one actually where the I think when the Emperor's transport is landing, he's coming. You see it come from space. I think it lands or in the hangar. There's a shot of it outside of the Death Star, and that is a painting. Like
That's amazing.
it's insane. Like the paintings are incredible. Like they are absolutely incredible. And I think that the point they were making is like just, you can't even tell they're
Yeah,
that good.
that's cool.
So that's how good they
So,
are.
so I think we're probably talking every scene, so we probably need to
No, I want to
not
speak
speak,
every
not
second of the
you
whole
know,
thing.
but I think the importance of this particular scene is that Vader is on a leash, isn't he? He's the Emperor is in charge, and you see a different side to Vader. Whereas in Empire Strikes Back, he is, although you see the Emperor in a hologram, Vader's choking people out. He's the boss. In this one,
Mm,
he is being told what to do, and he's not like he is like yes master, and he's like I must obey my master,
mm.
and so you see a submissive side to Vader, which just changes the whole story.
No, absolutely. And yeah, I think yeah, you see a lot of difference in like you said in his demeanor. He's yeah very subservient in this, and obviously this guy's in charge. Um, so this we'll pick up the pace, I guess, Dave, because I think
Hmm.
we've opened up on that just Java thing. We spent 20 minutes on that, so
Yeah,
we were we do I love this film, so I would happily talk for
I
five
think
hours
I
on that.
think it's pretty. There's two sort of sections really left. There's the landing on Endor,
Mm.
and then there's the Battle of
I
Endor.
would say there's one more bit with
Yeah,
Yoda dying,
yeah,
obviously.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
Yoda dying, and obviously I think at that point they tell Luke about Leia as well.
And
Um,
they double confirm that Vader is the father because
yeah, yeah.
you know I like I said I didn't it didn't land with me um, in Empire Strikes Back because I believed Obi-Wan was telling the truth. So then
Mm,
when Obi-Wan and then Yoda says, "Yeah, Vader was your father," it wasn't until then that I was like, "Oh,
mm,
there's even more weight to this film for me now."
mm. Yeah, so they do that. Obviously, we see Yoda become one with the Force. He disappears as well.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, that this sad seeing him gone. It was so fun. He was only in a little bit in the first, not the first, sorry, in the second film and this film, but he had such an impact. It was so memorable, that character.
Mm.
Um, but he
So
dies
so
basically at the
quote
beginning of this film.
so quotable as well.
Yeah, amazing. So amazing stuff there. But like you said, there's only really a couple of bits left. Like you said, the they assemble a team to go to Endor, and then obviously they're going to do the assault on the
Yeah.
second Death Star because they got the plans, um, and how basically the shield generator is not working, so they can go and get this thing done.
Mm.
And
I've,
so,
I,
huh?
I was just going to say in my notes, I've put um, all the characters together is so satisfying and heartwarming. And what I mean by that is when they've stolen that shuttle to try and sneak onto
Mm,
Endor, Han Solo has a moment where he says, "Oh, I need a crew," and Chewie says, "Yeah, I'll go with you." Leia says, "Yeah, count me in," and then Luke goes, "Count me in as well." And it's like all four of them together,
mm.
and they're happy. They're happy, and it's like it's just so nice to see them on screen together, and it's we won't go into it too much, and it's one of the biggest missed opportunities ever in the newest films. But we will talk about it another day.
Yeah, because yeah, I could again talk another 5 hours about that one thing. Um, but yeah,
You
so it
son
is
of a.
nice. It's a nice moment, and also in that whole sort of bit is the bit where where he tells Lando he can take the Falcon. He's like, "You look after her, right? You're not gonna scratch her." He's like, "No, look, don't worry about it." And then they
Mm,
sort of, give the old. I think they give each other like, "You got this" kind of thing. Look at each other and they go their separate ways. So yeah, like you said, with this transport with Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie, and I guess some soldiers as well, like a minimal amount of rebel soldiers go down to
Mm,
Endor. Um, and they're looking. I guess are they on their way to the shield generator, and I think they come across some some of the stormtroopers, but they're on speeder bike. Are they speeder bikes? They are speeder bikes.
that's
And
right.
again, look, obviously, I think now it might not hold up as well, but I think it's still quite an exciting scene. That they're on the
Oh
speeder
yeah.
bikes and stuff.
I had it on earlier, and that forest bit is great, and the colours, the green colours, and
Yeah, yeah.
you know, it's a good little tense moment.
Mm.
For sure. But yeah, we sort of have a long bit with the Ewoks and taking C3PO, and he's the god, and a lot of faffing around, and the film doesn't really pick up again, in my opinion,
Until Luke
until
goes, because
Vader turns himself in
because what's
to Vader.
just a note on that. What's funny about that bit? There's also a bit in there where Luke, obviously knowing that Leia is his sister, is like talking to her, and he's like, "Oh, you don't know, don't he's been very coy with what he's saying. I don't think he just tells her outright, does he?
He sort of looks at her, and she's like, "What's wrong?" And he's like, "Ask me again another time." And it's like
Yeah.
he knows he needs to focus on the next bit rather than because he knows that giving up Leia
Mm.
is gonna it could endanger her, which sort of happens later on, but we'll
Does he
get to
tell
that.
her? Does he tell her then that she's his? I think he might do at that, and then I think again later he does reveal to her that she's his sister
Oh yeah, he
before
does
he goes
reveal
off
it.
to the Vader, right?
Yeah, and then as he goes off, Han Solo comes out and he thinks that
He's
there's
all
something
jealous,
going
and
on,
he's
and
like, well, if you want to be with him, like just,
yeah,
he's acting all jealous as if they're like lovers.
yeah,
But yeah, like you said, he goes off. He has to go and fight Vader, so he goes off to Vader because he feels
yeah.
like he felt good in him. He can change him, but he basically gives
Mm,
himself up to Vader. Again, by the way, when we see that platform, Dave, with the
yeah,
ship on top of it, that is a painting.
unbelievable,
It's amazing. So
unbelievable.
you see the AT-ST walk up to it. I believe that is a painting as well. It's crazy. So Luke hands himself in. He meets Vader and he checks it. I remember he checks his lightsaber. He's like, your skills as a Jedi have come on considerably or whatever he says. And it's like, oh, like Vader acknowledging that his skill has increased over time,
Mm,
which is also good. Which is really good because we know obviously Vader is like the biggest, baddest as far as we're concerned, you know, Force user that we know. So the fact that he's acknowledging him as well is really good, and that whole scene is
yeah,
really good. Luke
I think there's
Luke trying to
every
because he sort of gets through to him as well in that scene, doesn't he? He was like, I know there's good in you, Father. Like, and he's like, he sort of, he gives him like a. Did he say something like, you know, it's too late for me or something like,
yeah.
if
He
even so you
he's
get the feeling that
to be honest,
oh actually
to be
he's
honest,
benefiting
they
a little
leave
bit.
that scene with not much hope, and I think
Mm,
that's good because he says, well, you'll be forced to kill me, and Vader says, if that's your destiny,
mm,
and he's like, Father, I can feel the conflict within you, and he's like, you don't know the power of the dark side. I
mm.
must obey my master, and he's like, well, my father must be truly dead then, and then Vader
But
says, you know,
you get the feeling though that Vader is
I
feeling
think
something. Like you get
because
that
I think
feeling there.
what the only reason is because when Luke then leaves with the stormtroopers, Vader's not supposed to go with him,
Mm,
and he hangs back, and then eventually Vader brings the Luke to the Emperor
mm.
because the Emperor's like stay on the command ship. Um, so him being there is like, oh, he's sort of defying him, but you know,
So I think we basically go straight to the Emperor, don't we? Don't we meet him fairly quickly after that?
you've got this sneak battle of Endor.
Oh, trying to get to the shield generator.
You've got the battle in the space
Mm,
going on, which I love. I love the Death Star in this one being like a construction site.
yeah.
I
Yeah, it's a
love
great
that, and
look.
it's like we're going to sneak on. It's not operational. We're going to blow up the shield generator on Endor, and then we're going to, And meanwhile, the Emperor is like a chess master in this. He knows what certain characters are doing. He knows, Luke's going up there with all this confidence. Yeah, my friends are going to come in a minute and blow this place up. When the Emperor knows this, and he's like, let me show you what's operational, and
Dave,
starts blowing up.
Dave. Now we mentioned this before. Dave's, uh, I don't, the his fondness for the Emperor, and you know full well he doesn't say, "Well, check me out." You know full well he doesn't. You know full well that's not what he says. You know exactly what he says. I
Well,
don't.
I'm just
Oh,
giving a
oh,
breakdown.
I'm afraid the deflector shield will be quite operational when your friends arrive. And this realization that, oh, we thought we were ahead of this guy, and he's absolutely done us. Your little and and he's like, your little friends, won't be able to do it because they basically get ambushed down on the planet, don't they?
Yeah, it all goes wrong. You get all of the stormtroopers turning up, and Han and Leia have gonna, got that. You've got the main ships being blown up by the Death Star, and the Rebel fleets just getting destroyed, and Luke is standing powerless without his lightsaber.
And I think
And
even uh, the music's going at this point. You see Lando going, the Fletcher shields are still up, and they're like, we're getting destroyed. So they having to start fighting differently
mm,
than how they had planned.
that's
And
one thing I love. I love that you got all the Star Destroyers just waiting, and
mm,
they're like, what should we do? And he's like, hold here, the Emperor's got something special planned. And then
mm,
they realise they're going to have to engage the Star Destroyers to draw the fire away
yes,
from their fleet. And yeah, it's just all amazing. How they think of all these things is great.
yeah, and it shoots, doesn't it? The Death Star shoots one of the ships, and they're like, "Whoa, hang on a sec! I thought this thing wasn't operational." So they're
Yeah.
just, they're all taken aback. The Emperor's just loving it. He's like, "You're gonna have to watch your friends die here." And then we this whole scene is it's amazing. It is amazing. Him
Mm-hmm.
going. He's trying to manipulate Luke to the dark side. That's his point. He wants Luke to be his new apprentice. He wants him to be part of the dark side. So he's like, oh, I can feel your anger. Like he is goading him and just
Yeah.
poking and prodding, and he wants it. Like, yeah, go on. It's like, oh, you want this, don't you? To his lightsaber. He's like, yeah, go on. And in your head, you're like, yeah, kill him. And then the Emperor's like, that's exactly what I want.
And
Like,
he does give in slightly, and then when he's fighting Vader with the lightsaber, he's managing to sort of control himself,
yeah, and then
and
what doesn't
and
the
then
Emperor say?
Vader,
Okay, maybe oh, Vader
no,
realizes
Vader,
sister. You
yeah,
have a
so that's
sister.
yeah, so Vader senses his thoughts, and he's like, your thoughts have now betrayed her too.
Yeah,
And then Luke, he's like, if
goes
you won't
overdrive,
turn,
doesn't
then
he?
maybe she will. And that's when Luke absolutely loses it,
And he just goes
and
crazy, doesn't he?
he
But
goes
also
crazy.
all part of this is I think there's a bit where Luke tries to strike down the Emperor, which is obviously is exactly what he wants. Vader blocks it, and
Mm.
the laugh of the Emperor is again something I'll never get over. I can't watch him in this film without smiling and laughing because he's just in control of everything.
I think if you were in that situation, you would you would do the same, and he would entice you
Oh, absolutely.
to
You
to.
can't beat that.
to
You're watching your mates die. As far as you're concerned, everyone is about to be slaughtered in front of you, and this guy's like,
and this guy's
whatever. Good, isn't it?
he's laughing in your
He's
face, and you've got a
laughing, yeah.
lightsaber there. Of course, you're going to take it.
And he's actually telling you to do it. He's like, go on then. Go on, please.
Yeah.
Oh yes, do it. And he's
Um,
like goading you on. So it's absolutely excellent. But like you said, Luke loses it after, you know, Vader realizes that he has a sister, and he's just like hitting him. But he's going bang bang. He's coming back and forth. He cuts his arm off, hand off, sorry,
hacking him down.
Yeah,
Hack. Yeah.
and realizes when he can you can hear Darth Vader's like breathing. It's changed. It's not the iconic breathe. He's really struggling to breathe, and Luke realized like. No, this is, he was on the precipice of going to the dark side, and he realizes, no, no, this isn't what I want. This, I don't want to kill my father, and
Mm.
he throws his lightsaber down. Um, and obviously at this point, it's quite, we're not in a good spot. Like you've got, we're not really sure what's going on outside. I think we've seen some flashbacks. Obviously, they managed to get the the generator down because some of the shenanigans of the Ewoks. Sorry, Dave. Um, you got you got logs falling down from places and stuff, but yeah, they managed to blow up the shield generator in the end, which is a massive explosion, by the way. And I still
I
maintain
love
that
it.
they all died because that thing is
Oh,
massive.
yeah. They're just by the door, and then all of a sudden, this nuclear bomb type
Yeah, like it's the
thing goes
biggest
off.
explosion ever. Like, and they're just like, oh wow, yeah, like, you're about 10 meters away from that thing. How did you
Yeah.
survive? Um,
Yeah.
so
And then when
yeah,
it cuts back to them, there's no smoke or anything.
no, there's nothing. So that's quite funny. I always thought that was funny. But and obviously the fighters they realise the generator's down and they go into the Death Star. So this time they're trying to get the core of the Death Star and they have to sort of fly through the Death Star to get to it. Um,
Mm.
the innards of the Death Star, and a few of the fighters crash, and the Tie fighters are after them as well. So they're giving us a sense of how cramped it is. I think he hits I think the little shield on the top of the little radar satellite dish on the top of the
Yeah.
Falcon
Knocks it off.
comes off as well, and they're looking at each other like whoops, like oops a daisy. Um, they get in there, they shoot it, and anyway, so that's happening all at the same time. But like I think really the crescendo. There's a couple of crescendos for me. This, that bit, but also obviously what's happening inside with Luke and the Emperor. After Luke sort of puts his, what does the Emperor do after that? Obviously he gives up, right there at that point.
So Luke has hacked down Vader. He's standing over him. He's given into the dark side, and he's looking at his hand, and he's realizing that he's got a choice to make here, and he throws down that lightsaber and says, I'll never turn to the dark side. And the Emperor's just standing there looking at him amazingly. Um, just like, how dare you? And he's just like, so be it, Jedi.
And
And
and basically it's
he
like
goes,
if you will not, is it was it if
if
you will
you will
not
not,
join us,
if you will not be turned,
then you
then you will be destroyed.
bang, and
Um,
then we see for the first time Force lightning, so powerful, so ridiculous, unbelievable power, and he's destroying Luke with this Force
yeah,
lightning. It's
he
going
hits
in his
him
teeth,
wave after wave, and Vader sort of gets to his feet and is
and
just
isn't he saying you
watching.
lack? Isn't he just saying like you lack purpose, you lack,
Only now, at the end,
do
do
you
you
understand?
understand?
And isn't he saying like he's saying okay, well I'm just gonna kill you then. He's forced, and Luke
The,
is
the,
wailing because he's just getting
yeah,
destroyed by this lightning. It's going in his teeth. It's going all over his body. We're seeing, he's just getting annihilated by this thing. And this again is just great. Like the Emperor, it was very calm earlier, laughing, chuckling. I mean, he is enjoy, but he's now angry. But he's also
mm,
enjoying what he's doing. He's enjoying killing Luke, and we see, he's really giving it to him. And we sort of the music swelling. But then we see Vader sort of look at Luke, look at the Emperor, and I think Luke's been like, "Father, please, no," and
mm,
he, you know, grabs grabs the Emperor while the lightning's going on. He's getting wrecked by the lightning, and he throws the Emperor down this massive
mm.
shaft to his death, never to return. We never saw him again. That's the end of the Emperor. Obviously, of course, he died. No one would be stupid enough to bring a guy back that fell down a huge shaft and exploded at the bottom. Of course, no one would be dumb enough to do that. Um, um,
Well, if spoiler alert, um, but I believe that should be the real ending.
yeah, of the
As
Emperor,
much as,
absolutely.
and while this is happening, you've got Lando and Wedge in the middle of the Death Star trying to blow up the
Well, they
main
hit it,
reactor.
don't they? And then they have to get out. Now, this whole bit is one of my favorite bits in,
Mm,
and I don't in all of I don't know why it just always gets me. One of the best like ship moments in all of Star Wars. When they're trying to get out, you're seeing the TIE fighters getting blown up by the fire that's coming after them. Um, obviously, Luke and, well, actually, before this, Luke and Vader obviously have to escape the Death Star.
they're escaping at the same point as this is
Yeah, but they're
happening.
not blowing, because remember, this blows up as they're getting out. So obviously, we see Vader's face. I was always, I remember getting freaked out by how pale his skin was, but obviously, as older, you understand why. He's been in this mask, he's not got any sun on his face. He was all burnt up. He looked crazy under there. Um,
Mm,
uh, and obviously they escape, and he basically dies there, doesn't he, on the thing? But he
yeah,
takes his body
so
with him.
he brings his body with him.
So they escape. But anyway, Lando's getting out. Trying to get out of this thing. The fire is chasing him from this explosion, and just as they're near the end, the fire um, comes over the front of the ship, and it cuts to
Yeah,
outside, and you see like bang,
yeah.
the
Just
Millennium Falcon
fire in it.
flying
Yeah,
flying out like a bullet from a gun. And
yeah.
I was always like, yes, like when it when he did it, it was just like, come on, like it was such a big moment, such a good moment.
I think Lando's yeah,
Yeah, oh,
like
so
as
good.
well with the music, and then
Oh,
it cuts to the wide shot of the Death Star like flickering with fire, and then the
exploding.
explosion. But like it looks great. It's a great heroic
Ah, it's so
sort of
good.
all of it. Great
Unbelievable.
shot.
Such a great moment. Like you said, the yeehaw, and then you've got his little Neum Num mate that's like,
9-1. Yeah, he did
like,
nothing apart from look weird. Yeah,
but
that's good. Yeah, that's a good way to round off. I'd be happy to leave Star Wars at that, and then
never to. Well, we leave it with just a favorite. I love. It's a really feel good moment for me. And if that is how Star Wars ended, I would be absolutely fine. Which is them back on Endor. Everyone's seeing each other again. Like, yeah, we did it. Luke's there, Han's there. Everyone's hugging. The music's playing. Everyone's dancing. There's a party. We're seeing fireworks in the sky. Obviously, silly special editions. We're seeing like Coruscant and Tatooine and all these
yeah.
places and stuff celebrating because the Empire is done, um, supposedly at this point. Um, and just the music's amazing, and we see Luke sort of at the edge of the party turn, and we see him look, and we see Yoda, we see Obi-Wan, and then we finally see um, Vader or Anakin, and obviously in the original ones we see the actor that played the old man in the suit, or just in that scene anyway. But in the special editions, we've now got Hayden Christensen's floating head, um, just
Well,
there.
look at my if you look at my screen, that is the shot that you get on Disney Plus.
It's so bright. What's it showing?
Oh, so you've got the Hayden Christensen,
Yeah, yeah.
um, and it's this is what people watching Star Wars are going to just go, oh, okay. But you've got with
Oh, yeah. There
Star
you
Wars,
go.
you've got a lot of special edition, a lot of changes, and it really takes away like something. And I think when I think of the Return of the Jedi, I won't think about it with him in it.
No, I will
I'll think
always think
about
of it with that old man. Um,
because why would Luke look at a younger man as a Force ghost and be like, oh, you know,
and
who's
also,
that?
I guess was the point. I don't know if this is the point. Was the point that obviously, I think we've been mentioned this before, that he returned. He was now Anakin again. This was the last time he was Anakin, so that's why he's now Anakin as a Force ghost. But surely when he redeemed himself as Darth Vader is when he became Anakin Skywalker again. But
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
but
The old man is the right
also,
thing.
you know, the funny thing about the Force Ghost, obviously, you know, and this is where you get weight. This is because of all the other content we've now had. In the other content, it's sort of implied that you have to learn how to become a Force Ghost. Um,
Hmm.
but I wonder if, you know, was the Emperor telling him how to do it? Like, you know, who knows? I have a feeling that wasn't the case, but hey, doesn't really matter. But yeah, it's a nice moment, obviously,
But
and
that's literally the last shot, and
well,
then
and then no, he gets dragged back to the main group, and we see our the cast all celebrating, all that music kicking off, and it goes, and it sort of leads off to and that's the end. And
hmm,
I love that end. I love that that was the, you know, at the time, the last Star Wars. I thought I would see the final part of that story there, in the films and stuff. And yeah, I just think personally it completes a near near perfect trilogy. I don't think it's the perfect trilogy. I think there's things you could, like you said, you can nitpick and stuff, but I think it's so enjoyable. Every film is so enjoyable. The acting is great. The music is great. You know, story's really fun. You know, they've got some really memorable characters like the Emperor, like Yoda, um, like Jabba, and you know, so many. And it's just, yeah, it's just great, just really
hmm.
great. I just
This
really enjoyed this
the
film.
Return of the Jedi is a really probably the most fun Star Wars, um, and yeah, was my favorite as a growing up. You know, now it would be The Empire Strikes Back,
Mm,
but not doesn't take anything away from this film. And I mean, Star Wars. You know, as we've thank you for listening through our trilogy. But if you go on Disney Plus, you have 6 sections. You've got Disney films, you've got Pixar, you've got Marvel, you've got a Star Wars section. Then you've got National Geographics and Star. But just to think about that, you've got Star Wars as a whole section that was bought by Disney, and these films were made in the mid 70s to early 80s. These have got to be this original trilogy is an incredible set of films, and not to be underestimated at all. Nothing to not take away anything from the prequels and the stuff they've done, but this is the heart of it. These original three,
mm.
um, and yeah, they will always be loved by us.
I think I couldn't have put it a better way that these are just the core of what Star Wars is. You know, people say, oh, the prequels, all the sequels, and you know, feel free to like either of those, but those things don't exist without these three, and these three are just better than all of those films. No matter how good or bad any of those films are, these three are just all better. So
Hmm.
that's how I
Definitely,
see it anyway. Um,
good
so
way to round it up, I think.
yeah, absolutely. So, um, we'll be back next week. And yeah, thanks for tuning in again. And see you soon. And
Nice one, guys. Thank you.
yeah, thank you very much.